We spend billions chasing longevity, supplements, trackers, biohacks. But on a remote peninsula in Greece, a small number of men have quietly outlived the trend. It's called Mount Athos, a 1,000-year-old monastic republic that governs itself, sealed off from the modern world. And the way these men live maps almost perfectly onto what longevity researchers are only now learning to prove. They have no wearables, no calorie apps, yet they embody a pattern that scientists keep linking to longer, healthier lives, a rhythm modern living quietly abandoned. This isn't a story about religion. It's a story about what modern life broke, and what monastic life never lost. We eat constantly, all day, with no metabolic rest. They eat on a structured rhythm, with extended fasting built into the calendar. We eat ultra-processed, calorie-dense, nutrient-poor food by default. They eat simple, whole, plant-forward food by necessity. We live in a state of low-grade, constant stress with no real rhythm to our days. They live inside a fixed daily and seasonal structure that removes decision fatigue entirely. These men aren't doing any of this for their health. That's not the point for them. But researchers studying aging keep finding their way back to lives that look like this anyway. Researchers have studied the Mediterranean way of eating for decades. People who closely follow it long-term have shown meaningfully lower risk of dying prematurely, in studies tracking people for 25 years and more. The effect isn't small and it isn't new. It goes back to some of the very first studies that compared health across different countries more than half a century ago. This isn't a fringe claim. The Women's Health Study followed over 25,000 people for 25 years, and found that the highest adherence to this way of eating cut the risk of dying from any cause by nearly a quarter. Not a trend. Not a headline. A quarter sustained for a quarter of a century. And here's what's new. Scientists recently found that this way of eating raises the levels of two specific proteins inside our cells. Proteins tied to protecting the heart, slowing cellular aging, and supporting the brain. In other words, we're no longer just observing that this works. We're starting to understand why, at a cellular level. And the monastic calendar has been running on this exact pattern for over 1,000 years, long before anyone knew the mechanism existed. Mount Athos itself is not just old, it's self-governing. 20 monasteries, roughly 2,000 monks, answering to their own internal law rather than the Greek state around them, a status that has held since Byzantine emperors granted it 13 centuries ago. It is in every sense a closed system, and closed systems are exactly where you'd expect to find an undiluted version of whatever this rhythm actually does to a human body. Then comes the rhythm itself. Fixed prayer hours, communal meals, physical labor. A calendar that removes the burden of constant micro-decisions modern life forces on all of us. Chronic stress accelerates aging. That part is well documented. A life with no decisions left to make about when to eat, when to sleep, when to work, may be quietly protecting against exactly that. We aren't looking for a magic pill. We're looking to rediscover a lost way of living. Next time, we go inside the fasting calendar itself. 180 days a year with no meat, no dairy, sometimes no oil. What happens to a body that does this for decades? Hit subscribe and let's find out together.